Kia ora, Gemini. This is your reading for this full moon in Capricorn, this big full moon that's coming up on the 13th. It's the 11th here in Aotearoa today. So I'm getting all these readings out, and if you do know your moon, ascendant, Venus and Jupiter, what they are, and do check them out for a bit more of a holistic overview. And also the collective reading. Sorry, I think I'm coming down with something and I hope it's not the big C. It might just be a nasty flu. So bear with me, but I just need to get these readings out on time. Anyway, so we'll get a few cards. We'll clarify them. We'll get a rockstone crystal card, an art oracle card. We might get a journey map just as an overview as well, and a Brian Froud pixie and fairy. So mixing it up a bit as per usual for you, Gemini. Let's see, we'll just give these a bit more of a shuffle here. So it's very cold in this part of the world at the moment. We've got a couple of cards coming out here. Actually quite warm cards. Gemini, let's see, for Geminis. We've got the world. Yeah. The universe. What can you say? I mean, this is an amazing portal, isn't it? We see it in this card. We also see the Ouroboros, the snake with the tail. A completion of sorts, because it does indicate a new cycle, and yes, I do go on about new cycles a lot, but we'll go through and we'll clarify that a little bit more. I might just take that off. Okay. We've got the Empress, the great goddess here. The great female principle, creative, nurturing. It is the female principle. This is coming up a lot. It's not about gender. This is about the female principle, which is creative, nurturing, to care for others. Probably a more, in terms of the Empress, this is about unconditional love. And it's about understanding what can be created from that as well. What can be brought into form because of that. We've got the Hanged Man. Nothing going in, nothing coming out really. A Stacey's point. What's the word? Not truce, that's not the right word. An impasse in some ways. But we know with the Hanged Man, there's a purpose for this, and the purpose largely is to come out of this state, which is inevitable, with a new understanding, a new perspective, some new ideas, to put it simply, a new understanding, actually. How to move forward, would it be? I mean, you know, this is the kind of general gist of these three cards, really. Like, what's the next step? Where are we going? Kind of thing, you know. I just pull out one more card and then we'll clarify, dear Geminis. We've got the Six of Cups. This is a beautiful card. All the sixes are. We see the threads of connection here. So whether this is, I mean, it's interesting because a lot of these readings today have almost been, well, the collective reading itself kind of set the tone in some ways, because it was about you know, like a mirrored thing, like what's happening in the micro, what's happening in your individual world or life. You're seeing it. It's like this sort of exchange going backwards and forwards. You could see it being played out collectively in the world, you know. Maybe I didn't explain that very well then. But anyway, we've got the Six of Cups. We are connected. This is a sea of golden waves of golden threads. Again, the Six of Cups is about unconditional giving and receiving, just as we did as children, because it felt good, because we wanted to. There weren't actually any obligations or agendas involved in that. I'll just adjust my hot water bottle. There weren't any agendas in it. So, you know, if you're seeing this played out in your, you know, because you could look at these cards in a collective sense and in an individual sense as well. And do remember, these are very general tarot, very general intuitive readings. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But we come to an understanding here. We come to an impasse, is the word, in terms of actually, you know, do we want our reality, you know, the realities of this world to be hard and sharp-edged all the time and conflictual, or do we want to try and expand upon that and actually bring in something a little bit more harmonious? Like there's a heart opening in with the Empress, that what can actually be achieved. I mean, in some ways, humans are so, I mean, it's impossible. I mean, I don't really see it as being a possibility that peace and harmony reigns ultimately ever, because I think we're just made up. It's like we're just made up of, there are, you know, these Mars-like tendencies to have conflict, you know. It's almost in a kind of cellular way. But I mean, that can be tempered. Anyway, I digress, Gemini, sorry. Let's just go through and we'll clarify. I don't know what it is, but there's a real political, I know what it is, but an unusual, you know, somewhat sort of political, global, collective feeling of friction, maybe, constriction, that's coming through here. Anyway, let's look at the universe, the world. It's a beautiful card. It really is. And we get the three of wands here, which really is, in this card, we are on a journey, and we know that there's nothing that can trip us up from this point onwards. We know where we're going. We know we can achieve that. In this reading, it's like for some Geminis out there, you know you're actually, you've known for quite a while that you've been entering a new cycle, or one that was finishing. You were at the end of, and you've known that for quite a while. And there's a level of hope in the, no, hope's not the right word actually. There's a level of faith in the Three of Wands that that you have stamina, you know, like emotional stamina, psychological stamina to keep going on this journey. Let's have a look at the Empress for Geminis. Wow. We get 3 cards here. Look, the Empress. You know, the Empress was speaking of all of those mothering qualities, right? All of the mothering qualities, caring for others, nurturing, creative, soft, you know, it's like, if you want to think of it like texture, yielding, you know, it's like all these wonderful things. Anyway, so we get 2 sevens, cards of assessment. Cards of assessment. Can we trust our dreams? Can we put faith in something that just seems fantastical? I moved forward a little bit too quick there. So we've got the 7 of Cups, but firstly, the 7 of Discs. So there's been an assessment that's gone on, and this is largely energetic assessment. All right, so I know, you know, end of a cycle, beginning of a new one. We're looking at the Empress here, this idea of nurture, right? We get the 7 of Discs. The farmer looks at his crop. Have I taken care of that? Have I got anything from it, actually? Was there a kind of exchange going on? Did I put a lot of energy into something that was a complete, didn't really bring anything forward? Or what is it? And it is. It's just an assessment. We're looking here too, traditionally, in the cards, you know, at the earth. Mother Earth, hello. How do we treat that gentle, nurturing archetype? That is, in fact, the thing that keeps us alive, that keeps us here, that sustains us. So there is a review, you know, for some Geminis going on there, and assessments, and the 7 of Cups. Like, so what can I dream? What if I feel large-hearted enough? I mean, if I can expand on that, you know, like 2 others, 4 others out there, not only for others but for myself. What amazing things can be achieved, what amazing potentials there are, because there are. In the 7 of Cups, we have so many options with this. And these cards, I mean, I'm going on too long with, you know, speak about personal empowerment at the same time. The 3rd card that came out for the Empress is the card of choice, is a card of complete equality in terms of mutual receptivity, but also, you know, just that ability to equally give and receive. What does it speak of? It kind of speaks of a consummate balance and a huge level of respect, actually, as well. Let's look at the Hanged Man. Excuse me for Gemini, please. Hanged Man. The Knight of Wands has come out, but I'm just waiting. Oh, then the Page of Cups, an offering, an emotional offering. Look, there's been a bit of pressure on some Geminis here, I think. There's been a bit of pressure, whether that's external, you know, because all the court cards can be people in your life, but they can also represent aspects of yourself, Gemini. Oh, I should put my hair up. It looks awful. Not that it totally matters that much. So we've got the Knight of Wands. That's a bit better. we've got the Knight of Wands, very impulsive. Now we're looking at the Hanged Man who's in Hangman zone. So there's not a lot coming in, not a lot going out. Because there needs to be almost a deprivation of sensory overload or stimuli in order to be able to receive some useful insights. We get rid of the external noise, right? But to clarify that, because it's inevitable that we come out of that, you know, with a new understanding, a new perspective. We get the Knight of Wands, impulsive, reactive, actually quite compulsive. I mean, this Knight, you know, very passionate, expressive, and all of that, but it is compulsive, you know. It's a firebrand. And then we've got a small emotional offering with the Page of Cups. Is there a conflict here? For some Geminis, is there a conflict? There were two other cards actually that came out. We have, which is very, not the same, but similar. Four of Swords to the Hanged Man. I mean, I do see that there's some level of conflict, whether it's within yourself. I think it is within yourself. Like, there's a point where there's a very active, you know, there's a very, I mean, there always is, Gemini. There's a very active mind. There's a very active imagination, but there's some level of conflict. We get the need for respite and rest for one thing here. And again, it serves a purpose. I think the purpose that it is serving, if this relates, you know, to whoever is watching this today, if this relates, I think obviously you are going through a level of withdrawal or isolation at this time. And it is for a reason. It's for a purpose. And I would say always have a level of faith in that you will receive something. You will receive something from this, because we get the card of Strength. We get the card of Strength. So we begin actually with this card to understand the difference. We go through the compartments, you know, in our brain, in our head, whatever. What is us quite unconscious? What are we conscious of? What's our, you know, the landscape of our psyche? Where does our ego come into things too? You know, we are understanding that, Gemini, here. And then we have that beautiful Six of Cups, which is literally feeling the connection of others. The connection we have with other people. We don't have to be in the same place. I mean, we really don't. It can be a card of people coming back from the past. And often, as I said before, you know, memories, remembering childhood, remembering old patterns possibly, old patterns or patterns that still exist that you've struggled with. I say that because we get the eight of Swords, a card of self-limitation. Did we get some, you know, messages pretty early on that worked to, you know, within us to what am I trying to say? That created a level of self-limitation many years ago. Like, because it can just, you know, you just grow up with sort of messages, right? Sometimes it's the way that you deal with those, or how they become part of how you do, what you do, you know? And self-limitation is for some people is one of the biggest things they have to overcome. And it's often, you know, people with amazing talent, and whatever that is, like writing, whatever it is. But, you know, it's like there's a level of limitation that is this perpetual hurdle. So it could be anything like that, Gemini, I guess. Let's get one more card. Funny readings. I think this is going to be... what was I going to say? And this was, I mean, we're kind of venturing as we've come to the end, sort of, here. We're venturing into what it was last week, because there was something about, not last week, but, you know, the new moon in Cancer, where there was an offering, or that you had to front up your divine gifts, you know, and get over your own limitations on that. We have the Four of Cups, where we do not see that fourth cup as an offering. It doesn't register. It doesn't come in the form that we recognize. It just, we don't see it, but we just, you know, like take a deep breath and just have another look, you know. Important. In some strange way as well, I do get this thing that it completes. Look, we started with the World, which is about entering a new cycle. We started with that. Look, it's kind of like accepting this fourth cup, or recognizing it as an offering, or being able to front up with, like, you know, the ability to receive a level of something, or to achieve a level of something, is somehow a completion. Somehow within this, Gemini, it's actually more than completing a cycle. It's actually completing. If we're looking at a full moon in Capricorn, there's really Saturnian sort of qualities to that, which is about fulfilling certain things before you can move on to the next things, if that makes sense. Sometimes we're here, there's a timing involved in it. We're here to do particular work, aren't we? I'm starting to lose my thread on this. But, you know, we look at the Four of Cups, we've got the Six. So if you look at it like that's a 10 of Cup, that's seeing success on an emotional level in the material world around you. It could be success on in regards to anything, but it kind of, but what do we do when we want to celebrate? It's an emotional kind of, it's an emotional expression to want to, isn't it? I mean, to want to celebrate, we're feeling good. But we see it in the physical world as a 10. The only thing stopping you from this is self-limitation. So whatever this means for you, Gemini, and we'll leave it at that. But I'm going to get a, oh God, we're going to get, sorry, a mineral rock gem card. It's a completion of something, of required work. And I don't mean work in a drudgery sense. I mean the completion of something here. Ah, right. Oh, I think I love that stone. Let's see, Gemini. And, oh, we must get a Brian Froud Pixie and Fairy. Do check out the collective reading. It's fun. It's just, they've been quite interesting readings. Yeah, this is, yeah. Brian Froud, Pixie and Fairies, Nellis the Alchemist. The domino, the first domino has been flicked. So this process is moving through, is doing its thing. It's got a life of its own now. Whatever this is, it's a fait accompli, you could say, is that you will fulfill this work, Gemini. You will. Fabulous. I mean, fabulous. Really. Pretty amazing. Excuse the graininess. Wow. So we've got iolite. I've not heard of this stone. Governs magical power. Feminine divine. Yes. Well, we've got the Empress here. Work connections. This is it. It's a follow through from the new moon in Cancer. We're just a few steps ahead now than what we were then. Work connections and inspiration. There you are, Gemini. You're on the precipice, I should call it that, on the precipice of completing a great work. Now, this could be not necessarily, not necessarily in the physical. It could be, psychological. But I do see it as a creative thing for those of you who work in the arts. What do we got? We've got Caravaggio. Life, work, inspiration from the Art Oracle. We've got try to keep violence metaphorical. I agree. Adjust your eyes to darkness. Very good. A head on the shoulders is worth two in the hand. Well, very true. And very Geminian, isn't it? A head on the shoulders is worth two in the hands. Okay. Oh, on that note, gosh, we're getting a real grainy night light going on now. But on that note, Gemini, I hope you got something from this reading. As I say, they're very general. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But it does seem like an interesting progression from the new moon in Cancer. So let's see what happens over the next few weeks. And do enjoy this beautiful full moon in Capricorn, which will be shining bright if hopefully it's not too cloudy to see it. And yeah, take good care. Thanks for joining me. Ka kite. Te anō, bye. Bye.